I'd really like to thank today's sponsor, Element. They help me to stay salty. They are an electrolyte brand that is full of magnesium, sodium, and potassium. They are science-backed formula, so you get 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams magnesium. It is full of only items that you need and no junk that you don't want, like fillers and sugar. One thing that you guys know that I like to do is a down day and an up day. Whenever I do a down day and I have a full day fast, that is when I really depend on electrolytes because they help me to stay hydrated and feel really good, and I no longer get sore legs if I make sure I have my electrolytes as part of my down day. And when I do a down day and I'm not eating anything, I choose to have the raw unflavored. I mix it with either water, coffee, or iced tea. Coffee and iced tea are what I prefer. And yes, it's a very salty drink, but I get it down the hatch because it is worth the benefit of having it in my fast. It helps me to feel really good and get through those longer fasts so that I can get to the up day and my delicious eating windows. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or to share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/fastingfoodie. That's DRINKLMNT.com/fastingfoodie. Thank you so much to Element for sponsoring this video. Today's fellow fasting foodie friend has been fasting just over 2 years and has lost about 55 pounds in that time. She's a 57-year-old property manager from Toledo, Ohio. Last year, she started to garden veggies and really loves this new hobby. Today's guest is Dawn Stacy. Welcome, Dawn.
Hi, Jackie.
How's it going?
It's going good. It's nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you too. I'm excited about this interview. We've been chatting already, and that lets me know we're going to have lots to talk about.
Absolutely.
Fast friends.
Yes.
So are you fasting right now? That's the first question. Okay.
I am fasting right now. I closed my window last night at about 6 o'clock. And I usually do, I do about an 18 to 20, and I'll open it up around noon today.
Awesome. Anything exciting in your eating window you have planned?
Actually, we love Costco. I love Costco. It's bad. But actually, we picked up their chicken legs, their garlic chicken legs. And I'm going to put those in the oven and bake those for dinner tonight with a side salad and Costco cheesecake.
Awesome. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I have never had Costco meals and I had never even been in a Costco, honestly, until I had my son. And my friend sent me a picture of all of their meals. And she said, I can't make you a meal, but I can bring you one. Pick what you want. And I was like, they offer this? I thought it was amazing.
It is. It's amazing. It's addictive. And I try to avoid that section if I know that I have plenty of food at home. But if I get into the food section, and I think everybody else will agree who's addicted to Costco, you will leave with like 2 or 3 meals. So, yeah.
Do you know what the worst part of Costco to me is? The cheese aisle. I love the cheese aisle. There's so many good choices.
They do have great choices there. My problem is their desserts. So I'll always go over to their desserts. And it's not really a problem because in this lifestyle, I can have dessert. So, and not feel bad about it at all. But yeah, I will literally go in and say, I'm not going to pick up their white cake with the cheesecake filling, and I will pick it up every time. So, yeah.
Well, good for you. Enjoy life, right?
Yes, absolutely.
My favorite in their bakery area, and I haven't had too much, but because I love their cinnamon streusel bread so much that if I walk over there, that's what I get. And it freezes well, too.
It does. It's really good. I love that. I make a lot of homemade bread. Like I do a lot of zucchini bread, and I do a lot of banana bread. So I don't pick up their cinnamon that much, but the other thing that's really good that they have are their raspberry sugar cookies. So they have like a raspberry cookie with a powdered sugar topping. And then they have like the raspberry, kind of like the jelly type that you would get like at Christmas time. Those are very good. And I put those in a bowl and I just put on a little bit of vanilla ice cream on top of it. Or sometimes I just put some whipped cream on top of it and eat it that way too. So it's really good.
Well, I have a feeling I'm going to be blaming you for Costco haul soon.
There you go. I dare you to try to get out of there with only 5 items because it's not going to happen. You're probably going to walk out with about 15 items. So.
Well, the other real problem for me is right across the street is Trader Joe's. So if I make the drive to Costco, I have to go to Trader Joe's because I'd be a fool not to. And then right next door is Crumble Cookie. So it's kind of like a 3 for bang, bang, bang. My wallet cries, but
I had a lot of fun.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not a Trader Joe's girl, I will say that, but we do have a crumble cookie that just opened up in Toledo, and I haven't been there yet. And I've seen you go there on some of your videos. I'm a big sugar cookie fan, so I definitely want to go over to Crumble Cookie and take a look at what they got over there. So.
The thing that helps me with them is I'm not a big chocolate person, and most of their cookies have chocolate, so it's easy for me to avoid it most of the times. But if they have a maple bacon one I saw this week, and I thought, do I have any reason to go out that way? That's the kind
exactly. That's exactly right. It's so funny because anyways, we'll go forward, but one of your pre-questions had to do with unusual food, and mine has to do with bacon as well, Jackie. So we share the love of bacon and extra things with it. So
I can't wait to hear. We were listening to a radio show driving last weekend, and this guy gives hot takes on things, and he said bacon is not a personality trait. So when you said that, and I was like, well, sometimes it can be. Loving bacon can be part of your personality. I was a little offended, and he actually said, and if you feel offended, you're one of those that annoys me. And I'm like, okay.
Then I'm going to be free to annoy you all
exactly.
I want.
Yeah. My feelings are not hurt.
That's right.
I'd really like to thank today's sponsor, Element. They help me to stay salty. They are an electrolyte brand that is full of magnesium, sodium, and potassium. They are science-backed formula, so you get 1,000 milligrams sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams magnesium. It is full of only items that you need and no junk that you don't want, like fillers and sugar. One thing that you guys know that I like to do is a down day and an up day. Whenever I do a down day and I have a full day fast, that is when I really, really depend on electrolytes, because they help me to stay hydrated and feel really good, and I no longer get sore legs if I make sure I have my electrolytes as part of my down day. And when I do a down day and I'm not eating anything, I choose to have the raw unflavored. I mix it with either water, coffee, or iced tea. Coffee and iced tea are what I prefer. And yes, it's a very salty drink, but I get it down the hatch because it is worth the benefit of having it in my fast. It helps me to feel really good and get through those longer fasts so that I can get to the up day and my delicious eating windows. Right now, Element is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any order. That's 8 single-serve packets free with any Element order. This is a great way to try all 8 flavors or to share Element with a salty friend. Get yours at drinkelement.com/fastingfoodie. That's drinklmnt.com/fastingfoodie. Thank you so much to Element for sponsoring this video.
So you mentioned, you kind of gave me a little bit of a write-up on your schedule, and you said you vary between 18/6 and 24. Can you kind of talk about what dictates what your day-to-day looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So normally as I said before, I usually like to close my window at 6 o'clock. I am in my late 50s. Our children are grown and gone, so I don't have to worry about cooking meals for somebody. You have to do those types of things. I mean, my husband can be done by 6. My husband kind of does this with me as well.
That's awesome.
And so we close it at 6, and then I always try to make sure I do 18 hours, opening at neither noon or 2. And basically, that's what I've been doing. However, I'm really interested in incorporating that 36-hour fast that you've kind of been talking about, and have actually been waiting to see if you're going to do it through your channel, because I would love to do my first 36-hour fast with you. I'm sure a lot of other people would too, and see how that happens. So I've been pretty stringent on that 18-20, but I would like to start mixing it up and see what kind of happens in regards to changes in my body recomposition and or my weight based on switching it up. Because I do kind of agree with you on that window. I think your body does start getting used to, I'm going to eat at noon, so I'm going to wait, maybe hold on.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait. She's going to eat at 2, wait. And I want to kind of confuse it a little bit so that maybe I can start seeing a little bit of different types of results. So we'll see.
That's one of the big reasons I do the down days and the up days. And I do really like the up day, but I do it more just for the variety. And I found that it's helpful. One thing that I've really considered, but it's such a shift, I don't know if I'll do it, is not eating like a couple days during the week and actually doing regular alternate day fasting, because as you mentioned, with the kids and the family, a lot of my meals are preference based around them. But I think, okay, well, if I did that, I could have a few like more effort meals because I like that more than my kids do at this point. They're very picky lately. And I can have fun with then my regular lunches being exactly what I want.
Right. That would be cool. I give you a lot of credit. I've watched your up and down days. I haven't been able to do that because my problem, and I don't even think it's a problem, but my issue is once I start eating, I don't think 500 calories or less. I give you guys a lot of credit. You could eat that and then close it. Once I start eating, I become not crazy bingey, but I think that I'm going to really have a hard time saying, I'm only going to eat this 500 calories. I'm going to stop and then I'm going to fast for another 20 to 18 hours. I don't trust myself, maybe is the way I want to say that. I have a feeling I'll get hungry and and be miserable. So I haven't done an up or down day. So I think I would be better doing, I'm not going to eat for 36 hours versus tempting myself to have it and then obsessed that I want to continue to eat. Where I know if it's 36, I can have a mindset where, you know what, along with my other fasting foodie friends, we are extending this out for 36 hours. I'm going to do my sparkling water, my coffee, and see what happens. So yeah, my fear is that once I start putting the food in my mouth, the 500 calories is going to be almost like a disappointment. Even though your food looks great, the 500 calorie options you've shown look fantastic. I'm going to be like, wait, I usually give myself a piece of cake, I used to give myself a piece of chocolate, and I'm not going to be doing that. So I would feel kind of almost like I'm restricting myself.
And it definitely does have a bit of that restriction with it. One of my big things for me personally is I have to make it very high volume in the 500 calories, which is why I do a lot of like eggs or lettuce, because I need to have that full feeling. Otherwise, it is kind of a disappointment. But for the same reasons, I do like having a complete down day because you get your normal eating window just like you normally would. And then you're just fasting at that point. Yes, it's a little longer, but it doesn't feel as different as restricting. And I kind of like the game of the 500 calories, but it's more work. It's a lot more work.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing too, I think maybe I could do it. I give you credit because you do have families and you have kids that probably want to eat throughout the evening. And, you do your 500 calories and that evening, I'm not eating with them. I'm making food for them and I've eaten and my insulin's gone up. So maybe I'm starting to feel a little bit hungry and that you can shut it down like that. I give you a lot of credit for that because I just don't know if I'm capable of really doing that at this time.
But that's the cool thing about fasting is there are so many ways to incorporate it. So what works for Dawn, it may not be the same as what works for Jackie. And that's one of the things that I love sharing with people is I promise it's not restricting. You can adapt it to what works for you.
That's right. Exactly right. So for me, even though I might think that is restricting those 500 calorie down days, I don't feel restricted in the way that I do it, which is I don't eat after 6 o'clock, period. It's not going to happen. And a lot of people be like, you don't have a snack, or if you have an opportunity to go out to dinner, what do you do? Maybe we'll talk more about that. What do you do? And my feeling is that I don't feel like that's restriction for me. I feel like it's just the freedom I have to say, you know what? I've eaten, my day is done. And if I choose to go out to dinner with friends, you know what? I have coffee. They love me, accept me for what I'm doing in regards to my food. And it doesn't mean I can't have a good time and enjoy my coffee or my sparkling water out at dinner. It's not a big deal. We just don't make a big deal of it and just move forward. I think we put too much emphasis on the food and the dinner time. Spending time with people is more important than really what's sitting in front of you and what you're eating. That's how I try to look at food after, now that I've been intermittent fasting and I do close my window at 6 o'clock. So.
Okay. So if you were meeting friends past 6, you choose to go the route of keep your normal window and then just enjoy the company.
Absolutely.
I think that's awesome. And that's a lot of strength.
And it is a lot of strength because you know what? Honestly, the ending at 6 o'clock at night, has been the easiest part for me. Because again, I don't have children in the house. Me and my husband do not go out to eat very much. So I really don't get enticed by that as maybe a young person would or a young couple does. I know that you and your husband, you guys go out quite a bit. You guys probably go out a lot more than we do to eat. So I'm not really tempted by that because we don't do it very often. So on those occasions that we do have a dinner that we're going to maybe at 8 o'clock in the evening or 7 o'clock in the evening for friends, that happens like maybe a handful of times a year for us.
Right.
We don't. So again, when I do go out, I just let people know, and they already know because they've seen me, they've seen the weight loss, they've seen the changes. They respect it, and it's not a big deal. So, yep.
And even if they think that you're crazy at first, they're going to see that you're still enjoying the company, that you're still wanting to go out. No one's forcing you to, you're not sitting there like deprived.
No, absolutely not. In fact, we talk more about fasting because I'm not eating.
Yeah.
And it's been an opportunity to talk with them. Some of them have even incorporated some of it into their lifestyles, or they think, that's not for me. It's not how I want to lose weight. And that's completely fine. Everybody, you just do what you think is the best process for you and what you think you can mentally and physically handle. And just, that's the most important thing is your happiness in this, because you've talked about this before too. Diets and calorie restriction and saying you can't is never sustainable. It's never going to work. You're always going to fall off. You're not going to get the results that you want. And it's not just weight loss, it's health results. It's health for your body. It's health for your future. You're never going to get those results if you are miserable. So you just got to figure out what makes you happy. And maybe some people don't like fasting. They've tried it. I know people who've tried it and they don't like it. They felt too restrictive. But maybe they weren't in a time frame in their lives. They had younger children, or they had weird schedules where they just felt like they weren't able to make that switch. And then they try something else, and that's okay. Whatever works for you. But I am like you, though. I do kind of advocate for you got to at least try it, because it's been the easiest thing I've ever done in regards to weight. And in regards to obsession with food. It's been the easiest thing I've ever done. I can't even believe how simple it is, really, if you're ready to do it.
I totally agree. What was your first exposure to fasting that got you started?
So I want to say probably in 2019, so late 2019, right before the pandemic hit, I was going through menopause.
Okay.
And I went to a doctor's appointment, and my doctor basically told me that, Dawn, we have to start diagnosing you as obese based on your weight. At the time, I don't mind sharing my weights and stuff, Jackie, if you want me to. So I was like 190 pounds. I'm 5'4". And she was basically like, you're now considered obese, so your BMI and so forth. So, and I thought to myself, really? I don't think I'm that fat. I mean, I never really looked at myself and thought, you're really fat. I never really felt that way, but I was like, wow, that's crazy. So I went home and said to my husband, you know what? I think I'm going to start dieting, because I never really dieted before. I didn't do Weight Watchers, didn't restrict. I saw the weight bump with each child, bump, with each child. And then, just, hey, I love food. I'm just going to keep eating. I don't think I'm that fat. I could probably stand to lose some weight, but, I'm not a big deal. But when she told me that I was categorized obese, I started looking at myself a little differently. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to start watching what I eat and exercising. This is exactly how I started talking about it. And so I started, YouTube and looking around on YouTube for those types of things. And I would see like Dr. Fung's stuff come up in my feed. Your stuff, I don't know, maybe it wasn't that time. Maybe you were a little bit later, but Dr. Berg stuff was coming up in my feed. Jen Stevens stuff was coming up in my feed. And I was like, what is this intermittent fasting? Never even heard of it, because I wasn't searching for weight loss, because I didn't think I really needed to do weight loss. But so I started, and I thought to myself, wow, that's interesting. I love my English muffin and orange juice in the morning at 7:00, but maybe I could stop eating that and do a 10. I think I was doing a 10, opening up at 10 a.m. and closing at 6. So I was doing a 16:8, right? So that's how I found it. Wow. Just basically on YouTube. And then thought to myself, I could stop eating breakfast, not a big deal. And then started reading things like what clean fasting was versus dirty fasting. And then started getting involved in what really, how you could really maximize using fasting. Didn't know what autophagy was, had no idea what autophagy was at 57 years old, with ton of skin tags on me and bloating and inflammation and feeling crappy in the morning and not sleeping well. But once I started reading about what's this thing called autophagy,
Right.
and then started thinking to myself, well, it has to do with this thing called fasting. So that's kind of how I found fasting.
Now, did you realize that you weren't sleeping well or feeling crappy or feeling inflamed, or did you only realize it after you started fasting and you could feel the difference?
That's a good question. So I felt that way I felt that way prior to going to the doctor, and her telling me she had to diagnose me as an obese person at that time, in my records.
Uh-huh.
I thought to myself, I was feeling crappy even before then.
Okay.
So, and not really realizing that it was sugar related or food related or, just not paying attention to what I was putting in my mouth. Again, I didn't know anything about fasting, so I didn't know that fasting could help that feeling. I just knew that I wasn't really eating great either. And I don't mean having, a piece of cake in my feeding window now.
Yeah.
I'm talking like making a whole box of cooked pudding at 9:00 at night and eating it before I went to bed. Doing those types of things, which people do, or
Right.
eating Doritos and dip at 10:00 at night. I wasn't really equating it, but then realized, hey, probably causing me to feel really crappy and making me feel really inflamed.
Yeah.
Throw menopause on top of that. I watched my middle of my belly just totally start. Within a matter of maybe 6 months to a year, I probably just bloated up like you couldn't believe, maybe an inch more around my waist.
Wow.
Terrible, 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 terrible bloating. So anyways, not realizing that fasting could correct that problem or help with that problem, just knowing I was eating bad anyways. So
one thing that I've noticed is, it's funny you mentioned chips and dip or cook and serve pudding, which my husband and I love cook and serve pudding. So that was always a late night snack for us. I close my eating window around the same time as you most nights. And naturally, that just means I don't do the late night snacking as much. Even when I move my eating window later, I just don't feel good the next day. And I think that people don't understand that, yes, I still eat whatever I want. And if I want cook and serve pudding before bed, I will do it on occasion. But the way I feel and identifying how certain foods or certain choices make me feel has really shaped, well, yeah, I like cook and serve pudding, but I'm not going to do it before bed anymore. I'll make it right after dinner if I want to have it.
Exactly.
Have you found the same thing?
So that's funny that you say that. So we are big cook and serve people. I just love that. So comforting to me.
It really is.
Yeah, to have a hot, and I like the skim on top of it. I know some people are probably grossed out by that. I love the skim and I love the moistness of it. And then put some whipped cream on top of it. It just looks so good. It's so good. And butterscotch was like my favorite, but and then coconut cream's my favorite.
Oh, vanilla. Yummy.
But anyways, yes. So I will say I still buy cook and serve pudding.
Mm-hmm.
I still incorporate it into my diet, but you're correct. I will not have it at 8:00 at night. I know that if I want to have it, I'll have it for our dessert after our dinner before I close my window at 6:00. So not a big deal. And I still get to enjoy it. And I know that it's not doing the same things to me that it was doing to me when I wasn't fasting and when I was eating it at, in an inappropriate period of time during the day.
Right.
And I don't do it every day. Just like you say, I don't eat dessert every day, but if I want to have it, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to have it and enjoy it and know that I'm never going to go back to 190 pounds again. I'm going to be just fine, and I get to enjoy delicious foods and get to have that yummy coconut cream hot pudding. It's good.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned butterscotch because that is one flavor my husband and I don't agree on. So if I don't want to share a box, I make butterscotch.
My husband doesn't like butterscotch either, so I get to have a whole thing when I do the butterscotch, and I will eat the whole thing. I'm like you, Jackie. If it's sitting in front of me, I just can't say, oh, I'm going to have this serving today, and then 2 days I'll put in the fridge, and then 2 days later I'll have this. No, I will eat the whole box of butterscotch pudding. No guilt, no problem, no big deal, but I'm so happy when he's like, I'm going to make butterscotch today. And he's like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, I get to have all of it for myself.
Sorry, wish you wanted some.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so awesome. So one thing you wrote in your little bio is that you guys enjoy watching football. And I was wondering, have you been able to, and I'm making assumptions here, so tell me I'm wrong, but a lot of times I know we like to have fun foods and appetizers and different food with sporting events. Has that been able to add joy to the football watching experience at all?
So I love it. So falls in Ohio, as I'm sure in Michigan, are beautiful. When football season kicks off, we're big NFL fans here. When football season kicks off, I literally start planning our menus. We get up, we go to church, we come home from church, and we start making that food. And literally by 1:00 when the first games kick off, we put on the NFL ticket. We watch the NFL ticket all day long. We're big Steeler fans. So my daughter will come from Findlay, Ohio to visit, to watch the games with me. My son, he's a police officer here in Ohio, so he'll stop prior to his shift to watch a little bit of the games as well. And we literally will eat at 1:00. So I actually don't open my window until 1:00. So I get up in the morning, we go to church. I have water. I have coffee, black coffee with nothing in it. And then at 1:00, we'll open it up. And you're right. We incorporate all the football foods that you could think of: the dips, the chips, the wings, the legs, chili when it gets a little bit colder, dessert, whatever. And we sit down and watch the game. And I just open my window at 1:00, and I might say to myself, you know what, I'm just going to eat this today and then close my window, or I'll leave my window a little bit more open, and maybe I'll have another serving like right before 6:00 and then close my window.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really awesome that you're able to still incorporate your favorite traditions or your favorite ways to spend time with family and not feel bad about it.
No, don't feel bad about it. And lose the weight. Exactly right. And lost 55 pounds. So really, it's been amazing because I get to, like you said, enjoy family time with my children, with my husband, watch my Steelers play. I love watching them play. Hopefully they'll play better next year. And get to enjoy food, and also get to enjoy the fact that I don't have to gain weight over this either. I don't have to worry about my weight. And once I'm eat my portion, I don't feel tempted to go back and graze around, because I just know that if I want to have that second helping at 6, I try to make sure I don't do a lot of snacking, because I want to try to get that insulin to come back down again a little bit before if I choose. And sometimes before 6, I might not even have that second portion. I might just say, you know what? Just ask myself the question, do you really want the second portion, or are you pretty satisfied? Sometimes I'm pretty satisfied, and that's great, and I just close it down. Or sometimes, I might close it down by 4, let's say, for example. Or sometimes I'm like, you know what, it's 5:30, I'm going to have another portion. I'm going to have another helping, and then close it at 6. Not a big deal.
And I think honoring what you really want either way allows you to be in control to choose not to in the future, because it's not like, I better do it now or I can't, because all the other times you're able to enjoy if you want more, and the satisfaction.
Exactly right. I don't have to say to myself, I'm done now. I can say to myself, I can be done when I want to be done. I don't.
There's power in that.
Absolutely. I can be done when I want to be done. So, and the other thing is interesting, you had talked about not dieting. I don't know really what that feels like. I know a lot of times you talk about that on your channel, and I'm sure a lot of your subscribers feel the same way, because they've done that yo-yo diet thing.
Yeah.
I just allowed myself to like foods and have children, and bump my weight bumped up. That's what it did. And then of course saying, Dawn, you're now obese, considering that you are 190 pounds and 5'4". And obviously you're going to keep trekking up through menopause as well.
Right.
But I never had that mentality of, I've done Weight Watchers and I've lost the 30 pounds and then I put it back on, and I've done this and I've lost the 50 pounds and put it back on. So I don't know what it feels like to go back and forth on that yo-yo. All I know is that, boy, I was really not in a good, healthy place as I just continued to gain and gain and gain and gain over the years, and feel crappy. And then finally equated it to, Dawn, no wonder you feel crappy. I mean, you've been eating like crap, and you've been eating all day long, grazing all day long, like every other American does, and doing 3 full meals and snacking before you go to bed. And, that was kind of what switched me. So when you guys talk about your diet mentality, I get where your guys are coming from, but I really didn't experience it. Mine was more of just gaining and gaining and gaining and gaining. And then coming to the reality is that I feel like crap at 57 years old and I need to do something to make myself feel better. So,
well, good for you for doing it. Have you seen your practitioner again since?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So, she's the sweetest lady. So, we see her every March. And last March, we went to see her. Myself and my husband, we make our appointments together and we go see her. She was amazed. She was completely supportive of what we were doing. She asked immediately, "What are you guys doing? What are you doing?" Because they would look at your chart and they go, "Do you know you lost a significant amount of weight?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yeah."
Thanks to you.
they get concerned almost like right away, like something's wrong. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I understand.
You lost a lot of weight since your last appointment, Dawn. What's going on? And are you trying to lose weight? Because I think they start to, at my age, equate it to, well, is she losing weight and not trying? Because maybe there's a medical issue going on, underlying medical issue going on. But yes. So what did you do? And I told her my intermittent fast, and she knew about it. She's kind of an older lady, and she knew about it. But her response was, "Your blood work looks fantastic from the last time you came here." And I don't know exactly what things that we didn't go like line per line. I didn't know. I was interested in knowing how it looked prior to the fasting. And she did say, "Your blood work looks fantastic." In fact, she had a medical student in there with her, shadowing her that day. And they were like talking amongst themselves at the blood work. So she said, "The blood work looks fantastic." She goes, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Because I'm telling you now, I see a lot of, elderly patients. I see a lot of patients who are older. And the biggest hurdle they're seeing health-wise is diabetes and or obesity. It will just make your quality of life so poor in your older years. And whatever you're doing, keep doing it, because it will be, you'll get blessed by it, just because you're going to feel better. You're going to be able to enjoy your life, and you're not going to be in this office, every other month, seeing me." So, so she was totally supportive and very, very, thankful to see that my blood work was different and changed, and she continues to support that too. So
that's one of my favorite pieces of proof, if you will, when people, "There's no way what you're doing is healthy," or different comments, and I say, "Well, my general practitioner and my blood work say otherwise, and I will rest with that," versus and I know it may not work for everyone, or people digest food differently, but fasting as a whole, autophagy, restricting time, giving your body time to rest, I wholeheartedly believe in, and blood work is a great proof of that.
Absolutely. They were looking at the blood work, talking about the blood work amongst themselves. You've talked in your channel before how you have like some things cleared up through autophagy. You talked about your toe fungus. You talked about your fatty liver. I would say for me personally, I had skin tags very bad under my arms, around my neck, starting on my face, starting on my eyelids. Many of them are completely gone.
Wow.
Or they're greatly reduced in size. And, reading about autophagy, listening to Dr. Fung and Dr. Berg talk about those types of things, my understanding is a lot of times autophagy will, again, eat at your at your bad and proteins in your bad cell. They'll feast on that. Self-eating, I guess, is what autophagy is. And things like skin tags will start to disappear, because your body, those are bad cells, and your body is eating away at those things because it wants to do that. I think your body is made to do those things, and there's a reason why you get autophagy is so good for you. So yeah, I've had that clear up. I haven't gone to the eye doctor since I did fasting. I probably would like to see how my eyes have changed, because I think you talked about your eyes as far as your sight is concerned. Another thing too is I found that my skin Feels a lot better. It's not so dry. It's not, I don't get as many breakouts. I used to get tons of breakouts, bad ones. I'm like, I'm a 50-year-old woman and I look like a teenage kid. I mean, literally terrible breakouts. I don't get those breakouts. And if I do get a breakout, it seems like it clears up a lot faster than in the past. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing you've mentioned is your husband does this with you. How did that come about? Was he just convinced by your progress, or?
He was. So before I started the fasting, I did about 30 days of just kind of doing some exercise and walking before I found the fasting. So I was going out by myself at night here in Ohio after 6 and walking in our neighborhood. He was like, I really don't like you going out there at night by yourself just because I don't want you to fall or, whatever. We live in the country, so we have like coyotes and things like that. But anyways, so he just started going with me, and he didn't really get on board with it. His was more, he was just eating what I was eating, because I will say when I started fasting, it wasn't like I did change my diet somewhat too. So it wasn't like I still ate the way I continued to eat. I started doing a little bit more low carb things during my feeding window. Until I got comfortable with knowing I could have cake or I could have a sweet, I just wanted to see the weight loss kind of happen. And I think it really kind of accelerated it without really eating the extra sugary things, probably, does better. And then knowing I can incorporate those later came with watching channels like yours and watching other channels and knowing, I can actually have those things. So for that first year, as I was fasting and doing more low carb, he kind of did the low carb with me and didn't really do the fasting. And then, of course, he started losing weight by doing just not having the junk in the house for that first year.
Right.
Type thing. So now he does fasting with me because he actually is so funny. I stop at 6 o'clock. And for a while there, he was still like eating. He loves those pretzel peanut butters from Costco's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. He loves those. So we do puzzles. We sit and we talk with each other, after dinner. And he would start to put those in his mouth and eat those. And it didn't bug me because I was done and, no big deal. But he still would snack. He started weighing himself. I weigh myself every day. I know there's controversy about that too. But he would weigh himself and he would notice an up and down based on if he snacked at night or not.
Oh, okay.
So he would say to me, hey, I had those pretzel peanut butters, 3 evenings in a row and noticed an up scale on the scale. And I said, honey, why don't you try not having them for a week and see what happens? Close at 6 o'clock with me and see what happens. And he noticed that when he kind of eliminated the pretzel peanut butters after 6 o'clock, he had a little bit more of a dip. Or he stayed a little bit more steady. So, hey, it just depends on how he feels, if if you don't care, I know I'm going to bump up because I'm going to have these things.
Right.
You just have to put your mind around it and say, you know what, not a big deal. I'm going to bump up a couple pounds because I ate that. I can go back and fast again and eliminate those things for a week or so. And guess what? I'm going to go right back down to the weight that I want to be at or not have to worry about gaining all that weight back because I know I can control it a lot better than in the past when I was basically ignoring it and just eating what I wanted. So
I think that's awesome that he joined you. Does he still have his peanut butter pretzels?
He does. He does on occasion, and he knows that he might get an uptick on the scale, but he shuts it off at 6. It's so funny because I'll say, I'm done. It's like maybe 5 o'clock. I say, I'm done. You don't have to be done, but I'm done. And I'll start putting stuff away or tell him, I made the food. I ate it at 4 and today I'm going to be done at 5 for whatever reason. He will say, well, I'm done too. Or I'm not done and stop it at 6. So he just does whatever he feels like he wants to do, just like I do. But very rarely now does he eat after 6 o'clock with me because he's used to it. And he found out, you know what? I'm not going to die. I'm not going to starve to death. I'm going to be fine the next morning. And in fact, by 6:30, 7:30, if I want something, I do what you do, Jackie. I get a sparkling water out. It feels like a treat, like you said. We do decaf coffee. You actually get up and you feel like you're making something as a treat. Kind of gives you that feeling like, I'm having a snack or I'm having something fun while I'm putting a puzzle together or watching YouTube videos or whatever we're doing. And not, and still in a fasted state. I'm still fasting. My fast is still going on. So, and he does that with me too. He'll be like, make me a decaf too, or get me a water, or something like that. So yeah.
That's awesome. What's your favorite sparkling water? Do you have a favorite?
I do LaCroix. So I tried it's so funny because it's funny, you guys, as YouTubers, you guys really do have an impact on what we do when we go to the store and stuff. So you like that Cinco Chinko, what's that stuff called?
Topo Chico?
Yeah. So I tried that. I thought, I'm going to try that because I really hadn't picked a sparkling water. Because to be honest with you, I really didn't like sparkling water until I started fasting, and then it became like a treat. Like, it's delicious now to me. So, so I tried that, and to be honest with you, it feels like it's almost got like a smooth slickness to it.
That's
like
my favorite part about it.
Oh man,
I love it. It's like creamy water, which is weird if you don't like it.
Exactly right. So when I drank it, I bought like a couple from Meyer or something like that. So when I drank it, I was like, oh, it feels almost like I was drinking like oil. That's what it felt like to me. Do you get it? Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what I love.
Yeah. So anyways, so I thought, this isn't for me. I have an Aldi, so I was going to try the stuff you get from Aldi. I haven't tried it yet, but for now I do LaCroix. So I just do LaCroix. I love the way the tops, snaps, like I was having a Coke. And sometimes I drink it out of the can. It stays carbonated the whole time, which I love. And it feels like it feels like a treat now. I mean, I feel like I'm having a pop, because that was something I was very much addicted to, was pop. I loved pop. Me too. Coke with ice on a hot day. And guess what? I can have Coke with ice on a hot day in the summertime in my eating window as a treat, and it's not a big deal.
Yep, I 100% agree. And actually, I started drinking sparkling water when I was pregnant with my son, because I was in a really bad habit of getting a Diet Coke on my way to work and one on my way home. And I was drinking so much soda. It was like all I wanted with him. And I thought, I need to stop. But it was the carbonation. And with him, I was extremely hot in April, which, you have the same weather as me. April isn't a really warm weather, but I could not stay cool with him. And the bubbly, very cold beverage was very, therapeutic. Yes. But I started drinking sparkling waters. They weren't plain, though. I did all the flavors to break my pop addiction. So thankfully, I had a little bit of an ease into the water. But now I just do. I love my sparkling water.
Yeah. It's so funny because I did not like sparkling water for the first year of my fast. And I would see people like you and others using it as a tool during the fasting window, because I agree with you, Jackie. I think you really need to clean fast. I think you'll get your best results that way. Even that dash of cream, like you said, it makes you feel bad. It makes me feel like I'm not really fasting. Yeah. So it's a mind thing for me. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not giving myself the benefit of the fast. And to be honest with you, it's not worth it. Yeah, I would rather feel like I was fasting than to say, oh, I'm playing with the fasting window, because I would rather say I know that I fasted the right way in order to enjoy the feeding window. So, but you're right. I mean, this type of lifestyle, even though you can eat what you want in your fasting window, you can get the best results if you also kind of incorporate it with just being more mindful about what you are eating and not restricting if you do want to have a treat. It's the best of both worlds. You get to lose weight, and then you also get to eat better than you were before, but then also eat bad occasionally when you want to. And guess what? You still keep off 55 pounds of weight. It's not a big deal. It's great.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to move into my favorite part of the interviews, the fast food round.
Okay.
The answers surprised me, and I think it's a good way to get to know someone. So what's your absolute favorite drink?
Right now, my favorite drink is black coffee.
Okay.
It was not like that before, but today, when I know I get to get my black coffee in the morning, Jackie, it makes me feel fantastic because it tastes good. I know it's not hurting me. I know it's not raising my insulin, and I get like a jolt. There's something about drinking a black coffee while you're in a ketosis state. It makes you feel alive. I mean, it makes you feel like you could clean your house and clean your neighbor's house and, garden and do that kind of, I mean, it just makes you feel fantastic. So black coffee.
That's my favorite too. And I love that it's always available time-wise, and no matter where you're at, you're going to be able to have it.
Exactly right. I do have to ask you though, I'm looking for a good decaf because I do have to stop the full caffeinated by about 2 because I do know it does affect my sleep. So I'll have to ask you what's your favorite decaf, or if anybody has any idea of giving me some good decaf options. I've tried many. I can taste that chemical taste in it sometimes.
Okay.
And I really want to find a decaf that I can enjoy in the evenings because I want to drink decaf in the evening, but I want to like the way it tastes too. So
I buy only because it's available on pickup and at Walmart, the McCafe decaf. And I really haven't shopped around, but it's like the one that I buy, and Aldi sells a really cheap can.
Okay.
But they only have one, and I haven't really weighted against anything.
Okay.
But the McCafe decaf is what I buy from Walmart.
Okay.
Just because it's there.
I'm glad you said that because we prefer the McCafe regular light roast, breakfast roast. We're not real dark roast people. We like it light roast. So maybe I'll try the decaf on the McDonald's coffee. So.
And I'm I'm obsessed with Panera Sips Club. I love their decaf coffee. So a lot of times I'll just pick up a their decaf.
You'll just nuke it later in the microwave and then, right? Okay.
Or pour it over ice.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Awesome. So what is your favorite food?
I would say my favorite food is steak. I have no problem incorporating protein into my diet at all. I know some people they don't like protein. Protein has been a game changer for me. I always liked it before, but making sure I incorporate it into my eating window. And I usually break my fast with like boiled eggs.
Okay.
Always break my fast with boiled eggs. Even before I eat anything else, it's always those 2 boiled eggs from Costco.
Yeah.
And then I love steak. I could eat steak every day of the week. I love it.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. Mm-hmm. I just, when we make steak bites. And to test different meals, I froze a bunch of pre-made steak bites, and then I just put it in the air fryer to reheat. And I was amazed at how good it still was. And I told my husband, next time I make steak bites, I'm making like 6 dinner portions because it was so good still. And it took away the prep work.
Yeah, that's perfect. Another thing that I would recommend too, this is the first year we did it, is we actually went in with a family member and bought a quarter of a cow.
Okay.
And because the price of meat was so expensive, we went ahead and invested in a freezer, and we bought a quarter of a cow. And I'm telling you, Jackie, it's been a game changer for us because, steak is expensive, and it was well worth the investment to buy into the quarter of a cow. We saved on the dollar big time. And it's so easy. The air fryer is of course wonderful. I just grab a couple of pre-done packets out too as well. And we just go ahead and I just let them sit for the morning and then stick them in the air fryer and eat a steak dinner. I love it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That sounds good. I need to put steak on next week's menu now.
Yeah. Yum.
What I'm looking forward to this answer. What is your favorite, or what is the weirdest food combination that you love?
Okay, so when growing up. So I'm older than you. So I was a young child, probably in the early 70s. So my mom used to make us something called asparagus and toast.
Oh.
Which you take cream of asparagus and you put some vinegar and some other things in it, and you heat it up on the oven and you put it over top of toast.
Okay.
So asparagus and toast is one thing we loved, but the other thing she used to make us is bacon and peanut butter sandwiches when we were growing up. So she would cook a bunch of bacon, and then she would just toast white Wonder Bread probably.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would put peanut butter and bacon on there. And I love peanut butter and bacon. It's delicious together. Like the maple and the bacon donuts are the bomb. So
I have a feeling I would love that because I like bacon with sweetness. So
I love it. It is delicious. And we actually use like those Weight Watcher wraps, those, I forget the name of it, the ones that Weight Watchers does. And if I don't want to use the Weight Watcher wrap, we just use Dave's Killer Bread and we toast that. Dave's Killer Bread is really good toasted. I'm not a fan of it plain, but if you toast it and throw your bacon and your peanut butter on it, it's delicious and it's filling. And you can get pre-cooked bacon at Costco, Jackie. Big, huge. She's got like 80 slices of it for like, I think $16.99 or $17.99 or something like that. And you can just nuke it, and it actually crisps up really good.
Okay, I'll have to look for that. That sounds amazing.
Yummy.
Yeah. Okay. Does pineapple belong on pizza?
Jackie, it does.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, it's been me and my husband, my son, Matthew, my daughter, Ashley. So growing up with the kids, we always had the pizza, discussion. I'm sure you have the pizza topping discussion all the time. We had to get 2 pizzas because me and Matthew loved bacon or pineapple on our pizza. Not ham or bacon, but the pineapple and green peppers.
Oh, yummy. That sounds good.
It is yum. So yes, pineapple on pizza is delicious. And there's something about the tomato sauce and the pineapple together that makes it really good. I love it.
I love it with sausage, but I think the green pepper sounds really good too.
Green peppers are amazing on it. So yes, we used to do that all the time. And to this day, even when we order pizza, and I know that Matthew's coming, over to eat with us, I always make sure we get 2, one for Ashley and James and the other one for me and Matthew. So yeah.
I love it. What's a food that most people love that you dislike?
So I'm not a big chocolate fan, like you said too.
Neither.
I'm not. I would take vanilla cake over chocolate cake any day of the week. I'm not a big dark chocolate. Like I see these women put the dark chocolate like in their mouths, that cacao or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not that.
Yeah.
Another thing is I wish I loved avocados. I wish I loved guacamole. Again, I've tried it. I've tried to put it in my smoothie. I've tried to put it in my scrambled eggs. I've tried to put it on top of a salad, and I just cannot get over the avocado texture and just the look of it. So I wish I liked avocados. I know a lot of people like avocados too. So, but chocolate and avocados, and I don't like lunch meat. I'm not a big lunch meat person. So I don't like lunch meat either.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the funny thing is, I just did an interview with my mom actually, and I knew her answer would be avocado, but she's anti-avocado too.
Is she really? I wish I do, because I know it's so good for you. It gives you those natural fats and makes you feel full. I literally tried to incorporate into so many things. I just could not get over it. So I feel I know what your mom's going through. I do not like avocados. Plus they're such a pain in the butt to make sure. I mean,
that's the worst part about them to me.
Yeah, because they go brown and black and they look nasty when they do. I mean, how can it's not even it doesn't even look appetizing to me. But, there's all these hacks and things like that people do to try to get them from not turning on them. And it just seems like a waste of money sometimes on them too when you buy them. So, yeah.
I do. I waste a fair amount of money on avocado. I won't even pretend, which is a bummer. And then a big incentive to not buy them.
Right, exactly.
So what would be your last meal? Any given meal? Yes.
So steak, baked potato with sour cream, butter, pasta salad, like a huge thing of pasta salad with the olives and the tomatoes and the green peppers and the onions and just everything you could think about to dump into a pasta salad, and a big glass of Coke with ice, and either cheesecake or sugar cookies.
Okay.
That would be my last meal.
That's awesome. That sounds like a perfect meal to me.
It's delicious. And you know what? I could probably have, and I can have that meal. I can have that meal. So in my feeding window, not a big deal.
Yep. I love that about fasting, that you can make your perfect meal. That was actually something that got me hooked. We had an amazing meal, and I thought, it was out to eat at a restaurant, but I thought I could do this every day if it weren't for money. But just thinking, I got the meal that I wanted. I enjoyed every bit of it. This could be my everyday, and that felt so liberating. And I've been living it for almost 3 years now. So.
It is wonderful. Well, you're an inspiration, Jackie. I know a lot of people, as my journey watching YouTube, especially as I was thinking about dieting and then finding that I could do something like intermittent fasting. Knowing that you can not feel deprived, not feel miserable about getting up and looking at what your day looks like in regards to your food is very liberating. And it doesn't mean you eat bad all the time, because I know a lot of people will say, well, why are you eating that? That's bad for you. You do want to eat better, because you do feel, you get to in tune with your body. I know I'm going to feel better if I do eat better. And I know if I choose to have a day where I don't eat quite as well, that there are going to be some repercussions to it sometimes, but it's not a big deal, because I know I can go back to the next day. I can fast and I can open my window and do my food choices totally different the next day. It's not a big deal.
Yes. And like you mentioned, those repercussions of maybe not feeling well shape your future decisions.
Right.
So when you when you make the choice, you live with the consequences, but you also learn from it. And that's part of learning what works for you and incorporating that in the future.
Exactly right. You're exactly right.
Well, I have absolutely loved talking with you, Dawn. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you wanted to share before we say goodbye?
No, I don't think so. I just want to let everybody know that, like you said, you do you, when it comes to your weight and your journey. But I have never felt better in my life. I didn't even know that I could feel this way. And that's been the amazing blessing through this experience, is that I knew I was feeling bad, and I knew I was feeling really bloated and inflamed and not sleeping well. And I knew there was something going on as I was aging and going through menopause. Yeah. But to know that you can correct the problem and feel fantastic and have more self-confidence and look better in your clothes and look better in your appearance, those are just icing on top of the cake. To know that, not only am I feeling better, but I'm also looking better. I'm feeling more confident, and I'm feeling more blessed, knowing that I'm going into my later years in life, knowing I can enjoy life, but also know that I can do it in a healthy way that makes me feel good and will make me be able to enjoy getting on the ground with my grandkids and not having to worry about, I can't play with them, or I can't go serve at, church or do mission work or whatever because I'm overweight or I'm miserable. And I can actually do these things and fast and eat well and also enjoy things too. It's been a very liberating experience. It was a blessing in disguise, to be sure, because I wasn't looking for it. So it was a blessing in disguise.
Well, I'm so glad you found it. And thank you for taking the time to share with others. I'm sure others will be touched by hearing about your journey and encouraged to start or to continue theirs.
Thanks, Jackie.
Yeah, thank you, Dawn.